Declaration Church. Hey, what is up, Declaration family? Hey, what is up? And happy Thankful Thursday to all you people out there in Cyberland. What is up, Declaration Church? Hey, what is up, Declaration? Hey, what is up, Declaration family? Hey, what is up? And welcome to Epilogue. Hey, what is up, Declaration family? Welcome to Epilogue on this Thankful Thursday. As you can tell, I have two guests with me today.
Dos.
One is John Sherrill, which you've probably heard of and probably seen around.
What?
The other is Jacob, who you've also probably seen and probably heard around. And so they actually, if you caught the sermon on Sunday, you saw both of them. Jacob told a little bit of a story about what he just encountered. He was in Honduras for a week, 2 weeks. I don't remember how. It was a week doing some crusades and doing the Lord's work.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, John was up there. They just kind of did a little interview. So if you missed that, go check that out. Go watch that. We are in the middle of a series called Thanksliving, which is a play on Thanksgiving, if you didn't catch that, which I'm sure you did.
Super creative.
But Thanksliving, this is the Thursday before. Next Thursday is going to be Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Which is exciting and
I
fun.
hear it's very difficult to find a turkey right now.
Oh, really?
That's what I heard.
And then it's Christmas.
I'm not cooking the turkey, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But hey, Thanksgiving's coming up, and then after that, Christmas.
Turn the corner quick.
Man, it's crazy.
Right.
Well,
don't you have a joke for that, Pastor John?
Yeah, just tell us your joke.
It's okay.
Mariah Carey and
Well, you did that.
I know,
like
but
5 times.
you love to say
You
it.
doing one more?
We love to hear it.
It's my fun. It's fun. It's a fun joke.
It's a fun joke. Well, they are thawing out.
Good times.
So's John.
Yeah.
Well, so this week we had, like I said, Jacob and John together. Jacob, why don't you just tell us a little bit? I know that, if you, again, go back, check it out from Sunday.
Yeah.
But he told a few stories, and there were a few that he even, led up to that they didn't actually end up sharing just with, or pictures, I guess you could say. There were some pictures. But the whole week you were gone, and just kind of give us a little synopsis of that.
And yeah, I got to go to Honduras as a cinematographer, and basically my instruction was just to film whatever I feel like the Lord is highlighting or whatever is just happening. Try to be the fly on the wall was how I interpreted. And so just got to watch the Lord unlock things in people's lives, not just from the team, but in Honduras. But I mean, I saw just hunger that I've never seen to actually see the Lord do something, because I think one of the most important things in being in another country is to see, they don't just believe that God can do something. They believe that the enemy can do something too. That there is a direct parallel for them. So it kind of is one or the other. There's not a lot of passiveness between that. And so, which is just, it's encouraging. It's scary. It's beautiful, and saw lives change. But I just had an opportunity to go to a church that was in a little tin hut, and a little bit of electricity, no AC, street dogs just walk right in the service throughout. And but I saw kids worshiping who had never been taught how to worship. I mean, I saw people encounter Jesus in ways that I haven't ever seen. And it was just beautiful. Got to go jump off a waterfall.
Did you actually witness some, a miracle or a couple of miracles? Did you tell me that, or is that?
I didn't, but I did. I mean, it's there's so many stories that it's hard to just keep track of everything. But yeah, I mean, we saw deaf ears opened. We saw people who had really poor mobility, be able to walk again. And then also those that, I mean, if you take it biblically and you look in the Bible, I mean, people who suffer from demonic possession, oppression, things like that, getting set free, fully set free.
That's cool.
The light in their eye change, things
cool.
like that. And so, yeah, just incredible.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I think, too, one of the things that kind of stuck out to me from just your time there, and we actually, I think Sunday night, I even brought up again, he told a story about a waterfall, and I think it probably hit for a lot of people, just the idea of the chaos everywhere, which, I've never been behind a waterfall, so I don't know what that's like, but you just describing it kind of, just all the water's going down from the waterfall, but there's so much pressure, it's just going every which way. And then you get to right behind the waterfall, and it's just calm. Mm-hmm. And I even think John said something about it, too, in the second service maybe. But yeah,
well, it's just you find yourself trying to kind of walk through this. obviously I got to walk through a waterfall, which you really don't get to do in the U.S. in the same way. There's not there's no safety gear, and so it's up to you to survive that. But the beautiful thing is you're going through it, and it just feels like a hurricane. It feels like pure chaos because water's coming up, down, sideways because there's just so much pressure at the bottom. And when you finally get behind it, it's just like I can see. Like your vision's clear. You can see the waterfall. You can look up and see the water actually coming off. Like there's a spot you can climb up and look. Like, and what they say is like, wait, you'll feel the pressure change. And if you just look up, you can see the water just coming right off the top of the rocks.
Wow.
Just beautiful. And so it's all like, for me, it was perspective. So it's, climb through the chaos, but there's a spot where if you just, you get behind it and you change your perspective, then you can actually see everything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like chaos anymore.
Yeah.
But one piece of it that I didn't get to share that I loved was if you get back behind it, there's just this little tiny cavern to your left. And there's so much pressure and there's no water back there. It's just so much pressure of the air that if you get close enough, it'll just pull you. Like it'll just suck you down. It's just a little vacuum, but you just kind of go like I you know where to stand in that moment. Like, nope, this is where the peace is. But if I go just a little too far, like it'll pull you down.
That's crazy.
And so it's just it was beautiful. It's so much fun.
I thought of actually when you were telling that story on Sunday, I thought of Peter when he walks on water, and the one thing that from that story that it's one of my favorite stories in the Bible, and I feel like every time I read it, there's something new that sticks out. You know, and a few years ago I was reading it, and what stuck out to me in this time was when Peter eventually falls and Jesus lifts him out of the water, and then he carries him to the boat, and I was just thinking that, man, he didn't stop the storm and then pick Peter up. He carried Peter all the way through the storm back to the boat. And then once they got back in the boat, that's whenever he calmed the storm. And for whatever reason, when you were telling that story, that popped back in my head just about the chaos and how sometimes, all of our lives we go through hard things. We go through things that aren't easy. But it's always one of those things that Jesus carries us through that, right? I mean, it's kind of like your whole, like, footprints in the sand kind of thing. Well, I was carrying you, whatever. But in that moment when you were talking about that, I was just like, man, all this chaos, and it's so easy for us to focus on that, to look at that and wonder, God, where are you in this? What's going on? Like, how could you do this to me? Like, which realistically, I mean, come on, we deserve death, right? Like, that's the point of the gospel here is we deserve this, and yet Jesus loves us so much that he died for us. And so you have this scene where there's just chaos everywhere, and Jesus pulled him through that and walked with him back to the boat with that chaos still going on. And that's really what I think he does. There is that light at the end of the tunnel. There is that, that calm space, that place behind the waterfall. But sometimes you got to walk through the muck to get there.
And I mean, I think the parallel for even just being in Honduras was we were there for like setting up a crusade coming in March, but we still went to a crusade.
Yeah.
And I mean, crusades, if you've never been, are pretty chaotic. I mean, there's just lots of people everywhere, especially being me in a different country, and I'm carrying around some camera equipment.
The language barrier.
There's language barrier for sure, and I'm trying to just not be in the way of what the Lord's doing, but also like, I mean, every couple seconds I'm getting tapped on by little kids.
Yeah.
Who are like, hey, do you have money? Or like, what are you doing? Like all this, and it was just really beautiful, but kind of scary, and but then all of a sudden, like you get, just like the waterfall, you get in the right place and you find the perspective, and you just allow the Lord to show you. There's just like a peace that comes with it, and you get to watch him do some of the most amazing things. And so, just beautiful place. So thankful I got to do it.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. And then I think after, Jacob talked for a little bit, and then afterwards, John kind of laid out the final little piece, I guess, to this Sunday. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about that, just there were three kind of main points.
Yeah, I mean, well, part of it it was kind of on the tail end of just Jacob's story, and ultimately, Jacob getting a different perspective going to Honduras. I mean, we can get so caught up in our world and our life and our culture and how we do and what we think and what we argue about and blah, 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 that we miss it by not a mile. I mean, we miss it by miles in the sense of here Jacob finds himself in this little barely tin hut with barely electricity, open air for all practical purposes. But the presence of God is powerful The anointing of God is tangible. Healings are taking place. Marriage restored. He told a story of a marriage that was restored. And, you know, in a people group who not only believes that there is a very real enemy, just like we talked in the last series, but also believes that there is a powerful God and lives life hinged upon or between on the fulcrum of those two realities, right? And so Jacob finds himself in a place of, you know, just being humbled at the sense of, you know, the American life finds itself in the middle of Honduras and sees God doing these things and is a part of God's movement. And, you know, you begin to take stock, I think, and realize, okay, what are the important things and what's real and not. And you know, and so obviously humility was a part of that. Our overall theme for the message of last week was a grateful life leads to a godly life. And really, we turned it around backwards, and we said a thankless life looks like a godless life. If you look at Romans 1, and the thing that as many times as we've heard Romans 1 maybe taught, the thing that never has jumped out at me until this series was the part where, and I'm sorry, forgive me, I'm losing the verse in my mind, starting in verse 18, I think, but where it says, you know, and because they did not honor God or give thanks to God, God turned them over to all of these things, right? And so that was the juxtaposition, if you will, to say, you know, if you live in gratitude, then you'll live in humility.
Yeah.
You'll live in honor. You'll strive for holiness, right? Those were the 3 H's that you couldn't remember.
Yeah.
But if you don't live thankful, recognizing what's real, recognizing, you know, being able to discern and sift through, if you will, you know, our way of life and culture to just the heart of God, right?
Yeah.
And of course, the heart of God is you know, for us, regardless of our way and culture. So much so, Jesus, applicable, still relevant. But if we don't understand that and give gratitude where gratitude is deserved, give worthiness where worthiness, or give worth where worthiness is deserved, etc., then we find ourselves in a different scenario altogether. And that's what I believe Paul was laying out in that passage when he said, because they did not honor God and give thanks to God, God turned them over to all of these things. And he wasn't a respecter of age. He even included and grafted kids into that equation, because one of the phrases was disobedience to parents. And so, you know, that got me to thinking, because, I mean, obviously we can all find ourselves in moments of just lack of gratitude, right? I mean, we can all find ourselves, I find myself often being humbled at a situation where I realize just how far I've gone, you know, in my flesh and bowed at the altar of me.
Yeah.
But you know, when we it's a dangerous place when we find ourselves unfazed by God, unmoved by God. And because the root of that is just I think it's a lack of gratitude. It's a lack of thankfulness. And then the self-test better be taken of, okay, well, let me examine the fruit of my life. What's going on in my world right now? You know, does my life match this list of things that tragically God turns people over to when they don't honor him and don't give thanks to him? Or does my life look like I'm walking in humility, honor of God and people, and then holiness? And so I was hoping that it was fairly simple in a sense of, it's very black and white of, you know, this is what it looks like to live in gratitude, and this is what it looks like when we don't. And then the choice is really now up to us in the sense of, okay, well, what am I going to do with that? And so that was really the whole message in a nutshell. If I had to
Put it in a nutshell.
if I had to like succinctly sift it down to the lowest common denominator, that was it. Of course, I said a whole lot of other words, but that was it.
Yeah, a whole lot of other words. It's funny.
Hey.
Well, you even talked about the week before the first week. You know, you had written a whole nother sermon essentially right before church.
I did. I got there on Sunday and decided I didn't like it.
And then you didn't end up doing it anyway.
I didn't end up doing it.
And you said a lot of that too is because you just kind of looked at it and you realized that over the next few weeks,
Right.
a portion of all of this was what was going to kind of come. And I think that,
Yeah.
you know, at least for me too, I feel like, you know, once you get all these grand ideas, and the Lord is pretty good at just going, that was a great idea.
Yeah.
We're going to do
But-
this instead.
Right.
And and I just feel like, man, this is, I mean, obviously it's such a time. I mean, this is a great time for a thankful type, you know, sermon series, because this is the one time a year where, you know, we sit around a table and we tell everyone what we're thankful for, and, you know, thankful for family, thankful. And this is a way that really, I mean, really, you know, you told the story about Blaine's friend too, and just how, man, even in the light of, I mean, like you said, like, I can't even imagine the tragedy and imagine what he's had
Yeah.
to walk through, but still just how thankful he is. So much so that, I mean, it was crazy that every single post, like, I mean, you showed that screenshot. It was just thankful for this, thankful for this,
And it's
thankful for
simple
this.
things. It's
Yeah.
It's the things that we often
For a
take
good
for
sleep,
granted.
you know, like,
And you know what? Here's the reality of that guy. I don't know him. You know,
Yeah.
Blaine does. But the reality of what I pulled away from that is sometimes gratitude is a choice.
yeah,
You know, sometimes I am choosing to stop and say, you know what? I see that. And I've taken that for granted.
yeah,
A lot of times I think if you're like me, I mean, I'm just confessing my own stuff. Mine finds itself in bigger things. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I don't stop sometimes to think of how thankful I am for my wife, or, you know, you guys as a team, or, you know, I'll think about, oh, I'm so thankful for our church or whatever, but I don't let myself drill down deep into that.
Yeah.
And what I got from just that guy is his story. You hear his story and just what he's been through, but he's like thankful for a few hours of sleep or whatever, and you're just
A
like,
good
man,
weekend.
yeah,
Yeah.
a good weekend or a good meal or whatever, and you just realize this guy is choosing now to take every moment for what it's worth,
Yeah.
and give God, you know, glory for where he is and
Everything.
what he's got, in spite of a really bad,
Yeah.
horrible, dark night of the soul. He's still saying, "Thank you, Lord."
Yeah.
And like I said, man, it don't get much more Job than that.
Yeah.
You know, and so good stuff.
Yeah, it was a good Sunday, and I'm excited for the rest. I mean, I'm excited next week because of Thanksgiving, and if there's one thing I
Better
love
get
to
your turkey
do,
then. I'm just
Yeah.
playing, go ahead.
there's one thing I love to do, it's eat. So I'm thankful for food. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny that, you know, we always use it on Thursdays, and of course over COVID we kind of started this whole Thankful Thursday type thing,
Right.
and it's always been that, you know, what are you thankful for on this day, and
Right.
you know, what is God doing in your life, or really just, I mean, just thankful, whatever you're thankful for on a Thursday, and now here we are in the middle of a you know, gratitude series, and right at Thanksgiving, which of course we planned on purpose. But
Did we? Yeah.
I'm sure it's
Yeah, we did.
Thanksgiving,
I'm
so
just
I don't know. How,
We did.
and just really,
Next series is Christmas
Like,
presents. I'm
Christmas-
just playing, yeah.
honestly, I believe that. Though. I
Wow.
believe
Not
that's
doing
probably,
that.
Wow.
That's what Blaine said. I was like, that's good, but no.
but next year.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Yeah, 2022, here we come. But just really, at least for me, it's really caused me to sit back and really, just like you were just saying, like thinking about all the little things that the Lord has blessed me with. And because it's so easy to fall into just everything that's just going around. It's easy to be stressed. It's easy to be like, man, if I can just get through this next week or this next thing that I'm doing, then I can relax. But of course, as soon as you're done, well, there's always something else, and you never get that time to relax. And so it's really given me the time to just, you know what? The Lord has done great things for me. I mean, He died for me so that I could have communion with Him. And just thinking of all the little things that you can be thankful for. I mean, you said Kelly, and really, like, it is sometimes so, like, I just take my wife for granted because, you know, and it is. It's just been a good time for that. And so I think as we go throughout the rest of the season and this year and into next year, if I could challenge you guys with anything, is just to continue to think about that, all the good things, and because we're going to come up to hardships, we're going to have hard times, and just to be always thinking of what all the Lord has done for you. And if, you know, one of my like favorite verses is Romans 8:28, where it just says, you know, God, now I forgot what it is.
All things together.
All things, yeah, for the good of those who are called according to His purpose. And really, if we think about that, all the bad things, all the hard things, God can turn that. Not only can He, but He will turn that to the good. Even when we don't see it or we don't understand it, the Lord can use that. And so let's just be thankful and just live this gratitude life that John's talked about the last few weeks, just to, man, so that we can show people how good our God is and how much He loves them. I just think it'll be, man, this is such a fun season, I think. Thanksgiving, Christmas, it's a lot of family time, a lot of fun time. But for a lot of people, it's a hard time.
It is.
And so I think,
And we know people, in our church and people we're close to, that they're walking through probably some of the hardest moments of their lives right now. Yeah. But I'm still seeing a depth of gratitude in them.
And that's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So, hey, guys, thank you again for being a part of this. And just, man, let's get ready for Sunday. Even right now, let's begin to pray. And, man, just be grateful and just grateful that we live in a country where we can meet together every single week and corporately worship. And so thank you, guys. We love you. We're praying for you. And we'll see you on Sunday.